Welcome to another episode of the Selective podcast. I'm your host, XR Arguello. This week we have another interview episode, honestly one that I'm extremely excited for. We have Sean joining us on the pod today. He is the mastermind, if you will, behind the Selective Instagram, and he also runs The Thinkings, which is kind of an amalgamation of luxury and streetwear, mood board-esque Instagram, if you will. That's amounted over 20,000 followers at the time that we're recording this. Sean is a very instrumental part of what we do at the Selective, but also, man, this is just gonna be a cool opportunity to chat. Sean's in South Africa, and we're gonna talk about his life growing up, streetwear, Instagram, his work at the Selective, the conversations that he's had with the likes of Virgil. Sean, how are you doing today, man?
What's up, XO? I'm great, and you, man?
Great to have you on the show. I'm super excited to get going on this, man. This is something that we've been wanting to do for a little bit. So I guess a good place to start off, man, is you've managed to like create this brand around yourself and really grow the Thinkings into something really special. So I guess we'll start off with how did you get involved with streetwear, clothing as a kid?
Well, thank you, man. First and foremost, for having me on. I'm really happy to be here and
Mm,
speak on everything. So I really got into fashion and everything through my mom.
mm,
So my parents are very artistic, like for example, my dad's in the music industry, he owns a record label company, and
mm,
my mom's kind of like a freelancer and everything. And she would always like dress me up as a kid and show me different brands and everything. And I really got into that, especially at the end of 2019, because I really used to care about how I dressed and how I presented myself. So when I went to Hong Kong, man, the fashion there is just insane. I
yeah.
saw stuff that I would see online that I've always dreamed of seeing in person, like these super rare items and
Mm,
everything. And I saw it there, and I just like the culture and everything opened up my mind like massively.
mm,
And when I came back like to South Africa, it was just completely different. And I really started getting into different brands that I had and owned and everything and doing research on them. And it's kind of how I just led into more fashion and culture and everything and started to change my music tastes. Everything I did
yeah.
was kind of like a epiphany
Yeah.
type of thing.
You mentioned your parents growing up kind of as artists and in around that space. I think that's interesting because I think a lot of people who are into fashion, sometimes it's kind of like a subculture of maybe counterculture of going away from like their parents in some ways. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like my parents are very much into fashion. So, but I know a lot of people who it wasn't like that, right? Like their
Yeah.
parents weren't necessarily into clothes and they got into it through social media and stuff. But how much of an influence would you say your parents have had on your on your ability to want to be a creative, maybe in the future as pursuing it as more than just a hobby?
Well, it's more of my mother that really influenced me with that. My dad's kind of just like laid back, chill. He sticks to his own thing and he
Mm,
focuses on work a lot. So um she really influenced me, and she always told me to be myself and do what I love and want to do, and she supports me through thick and thin. Like
yeah,
on be thankful for I have to always say be thankful for her. So
yeah,
it's great to have her in my life, and I really appreciate her. She's really pushed me to be myself and
yeah.
be
Speaking of pushing you to be yourself, you started the Thinkings, which is I don't know. Would you describe it as a mood board? How would you describe the Thinkings?
So I did a whenever I tell people, it's like a bit of a cheesy thing. I say
Mm,
it's a digital library, like a free knowledge based thing. I have my
mm,
website. I actually haven't promoted it recently at all. Um, I did a thing where I got a bunch of different pages and I put it on there, and like it was just like this whole thing. And I was learning how to make a website and did it all in a week. It's crazy.
mm,
But that's kind of on hold now, waiting for bigger things to do with that. Um, but yeah, I would call it a digital library, but to the common knowledge is that it's a archive or mood board page. So
yeah, and I know on the bio you call it a digital library, and it's a kind of a curation of a lot of different things between luxury, streetwear, cultural things, cars, things of that nature. When did you start the thinkings? How long ago did that start?
Wow. So in February last year, I created the page and I just posted like these edits and everything. You can still, if you manage to scroll back 5,000 posts or whatever, you'll see it, and it's like really like just edited photos or like
Mm,
quotes or like anything there. It was just, and I've never changed the ad. It was just something that popped into my head when I decided to make a second page. Um, and then I didn't really do anything with it for about a few weeks. And then in March, I really just started like, I was like, I had a lot of runway photos and everything. And I posted that. And I was like, this is a lot of inspirational stuff to me personally. And a lot of research and time I put into this. And it's just sitting on my phone for me. And, instead of like building up this gallery, and I'm not even going to look at half of these things, I decided to just um, post, just post it on Instagram. And I thought Instagram was such a perfect platform for it since it's very media based.
right.
Um, and initially it was just friends following me and, like some guys from school that knew what I was doing. And it took very long to grow. Um, I think by the end of last year, I was at 1,000 followers, and I was like, that was my goal for the first year. I want to get 1,000 followers, and I was like so happy about that. But there was months where I would literally gain like 50 followers, and now I gain like double that in a day. Um,
Wow.
so it was just a insane process, and I stuck through it every day. Every day I posted like maybe 20 photos. I used to post so much. um, there was a stage where like I would have so many pictures on my phone, and I would get like thousands and thousands of photos a day, and I'd dump. And I think even one day I did 60 posts or something. Obviously, I had problems with Instagram, man. I think my account got deleted 6 times, and I had to do like this weird page on Instagram, like try to get my account back, everything. Um, but
Wow.
it was slow growth until last year in around the December holidays. It just blew up. So around 800 followers, Takashi Murakami started following me, and
Wow.
I was just in disbelief because he's such an art inspiration to me. And I've always loved his work.
Yeah.
Um, seeing him through, I initially found him through Kanye West. You know, with the Graduation
Yeah.
album cover and Kids See Ghosts and all that, and I really, really started getting invested in his art, and I posted a lot of it and everything. And he just followed me one day. I think I had a friend over, and I was going crazy. Like my friend went home and everything.
Wow.
um,
Wow. Th-
and I didn't speak to him for months. Like I was too scared to send him a message.
So he was following you. Takashi Murakami is the Japanese artist, contemporary artist. His use of colors, vibrant colors, is iconic now. The flowers with the smiley face. Everybody knows the image. He's worked with a lot of coveted designers and people in the music industry as well. So he followed your account. Was he like the first big person to follow the thinkings?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
As I said, I was at like 800 followers. It was so crazy. I had other like slightly bigger pages following me, but not anyone crazy. Like maybe someone like 10K, 20K
Mm.
followers. I remember when I first spoke to him, I was actually going to bed. I think I had a test the next day for school, and it was a Thursday, and it was like two in the morning, 1 in the morning, and I woke up to this like random message on my phone, and I never wake up to my phone. It goes crazy in the night from all the notifications and everything from Instagram. But I woke up and I was like, "That's so weird." And I looked at my phone, and it was a DM from Takashi Murakami.
Wow.
And what he DM'd me was the weirdest thing. It was like he said like, "Hey man," and then he sent me a screenshot of a post that I made, and it was of Kylie Jenner wearing his mask, and he and he said, "Who is it?" And he's so like close with like Kim and Kanye and everything, and he didn't know who like that it was Kylie Jenner.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so I said like, "Hey Takashi, it's Kylie Jenner," and he was like, "Oh, cool," because I was just like wondering who it was because they're wearing my mask, and I was like, "Yeah, I know, I love your masks," and he was like, "Okay, cool," and then he was like, "What's your name and address?" Like in the next message, I was freaking out.
Oh my
I stayed up for
gosh.
like I stayed up for like 30 minutes, double checking that I had the details right, my address, everything.
Right, right. Oh my
And I
gosh.
had no idea what he was going to send me. So well, I think I got the package. It was so quick. He sent it on DHL,
Mm,
and I got the package the next Monday or Sunday or something.
yeah.
And it was like surprisingly big for what I thought it was going to be. I thought he was just going to send me like one mask in like an envelope,
Right.
and he it was like this whole like plastic packet and everything. Normal DHL shipping, nothing really special. And then when I opened it up, he sent me a T-shirt, the one that was a collaboration between Wet Boy, the
Mm,
Korean like comedian guy on
mhm.
Instagram. Um, and then he sent me three masks. He sent me a plain black one with his classic flower on it,
Right.
and then one with like the monogram of all the flowers. And then he sent me like this bright yellow one with smileys, and it was super. I was so excited. And he sent me a letter and a binder with like all these characters on it. And I was
What?
so happy. Yeah, I was insane. It made my whole week. It's still like when I still think about it today, it's insane.
Wow.
And I
So,
message him like here and there too. Still,
wow. It's crazy how he just found your account, followed you, and then it turned into something else. I mean, that he is, I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, he's one of the most important contemporary artists, especially in like the streetwear
yeah,
landscape and in pop culture today. So the fact that, I mean, you're sitting in your room, you have a test the next day. Takashi
yeah,
Murakami sends you a DM saying, "Who the hell is this?" And it's Kylie Jenner. It's just so crazy to me.
yeah. No, it was insane. And I think I even messaged him. I was like, Takashi, I'm so tired. It's 2 in the morning here. Can I message you in the morning? And he was like, he just sent me a question mark, and I got back to him, and he was like, still like so chill.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and every time I talk to him, he's just the kindest guy, and he sends so many emojis. Oh my soul, he loves emojis, man. Like emojis I didn't even know existed.
That's so crazy, dude. That's so crazy. So it was around last holiday that that happened, right? The
Yeah,
Thinkings.
September time.
Okay, so the Thinkings was still a relatively small page at the time, right? It was still kind of
Yeah,
growing. You were posting like 20, 30 photos a day, which you still, I mean, you don't post that much, but you still post like 5 to 10 photos a day, I think. You still post a lot.
my minimum that I set for myself is 9.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you're posting like
Yeah,
9 photos a day, which is crazy. I don't know how you do it. So the Thinkings was kind of growing, a few followers here and there, and then all of a sudden, Virgil starts reposting your stuff. Around when did that happen?
man, that was insane. So I remember the first time when I was smaller, Virgil reposted one of my posts, and it blew up. It got like 30,000 likes. It's like the most liked thing on my page. And it was when, the whole, there was the raiding with the Black Lives Matter movement
Mm,
in America and everything, and people were stealing from stores. And I think Sean Witherspoon's store got hit. I forgot the name of it.
round two?
And yeah, round two.
Yeah.
And I posted like some picture of like some guy who was picking up one of the off-white Air Maxes off of the floor.
Mm,
And it was just the one shoe. And then like Virgil had a caption, and he shared it on his story and everything. And that post blew up. Um, and then like later, like a month later, he would like repost like some random fit I posted of his, or some piece from Off White or Louis Vuitton. And then eventually, this was not a midnight story, but he followed me, and I was like, I just had dinner and everything, and it was so crazy. I did not hesitate to message him
really?
because I was saying earlier about the whole Hong Kong thing, and that really made me get more into fashion. And when I was researching designers and brands, because I own a pair of like off white, like not the Nike collab or anything, just like plain off white shoes. Because I had a pop up here a while back, but it's gone now, of course. And uh, I researched Virgil and everything, and really, man, he just opened up the world like of
Mm,
fashion to me. I watched all of his interviews, like I followed all of his, releases, his seasons, everything. I watched all the shows. I was really invested. Yeah.
yeah. So he was a big inspiration for you. When you messaged him initially, what did you say and how did the conversation go?
So I basically sent him this long, heartfelt message about
Oh, wow.
how much I appreciate him, and that like I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, uh, like if it wasn't for him. So I actually the whole page was inspired by him, because I remember watching an interview. I think it was his Harvard, where he spoke at Harvard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a really famous one on YouTube.
Yeah, and he was saying about like free media and free knowledge and everything, and that's kind of like how I got that idea.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so I sent him this heartfelt message, everything, and he was like, "Thank you, I appreciate you so much, super humble, everything." And then like I talked to him like here and there, like this is so sick, and he's like, "Thank you, what do you think of this?" And like,
Wow.
um, yeah, and I think I talked to him a little bit when he went on to Pharrell's podcast, the um,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
always forget the name. But Pharrell was talking on the podcast about his Enzo that he had, and I talked to him about the Enzo for like 20 minutes, and it was just like the coolest thing.
Wow.
Um, and when he did his full Winter 21 collection that he did, um, I was like, "Yo, Virgil, can I like ask you some questions about this? Like, I wanted to do like an interview thing and like upload it and do like a whole like exclusive article." And surprisingly, he said like, "Yeah, sure, send the questions through." He actually never got back to me on the questions,
Oh, wow.
but I'm sure he was super busy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
when I messaged him the stuff, Vogue didn't even have their article up yet. Like, it
Wow.
was crazy. I
Wow.
rushed to get like all these insane. I think I sent him like 20 questions.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's crazy how, wow, man. What a story. How you managed to have conversations with Virgil. I mean,
Thank
obviously
you, man.
making big moves with LV to this day, and one of the most important people in menswear right now. So I mean, that's in luxury menswear.
Oh, for sure.
That's absolutely insane. The thinkings now is at over 20K. So
Yeah,
when
it's
it
insane.
initially blew up, did you ever think that
No,
it would get to this point?
so when it blew up, I was like, okay, I reached my 1K mark. That's it for the year. I'm so happy. Like, and I was like, okay, next year I'll reach like 10K
Mm,
by the end of the year. Like, hopefully, I know it's a slow grind and it's not easy to grow on social media. Um, but man, when Virgil, he shared like 6 posts of mine a story on his story every day, like 6 to 7. I remember one day he even shared 12 posts on his
wow.
story, like consecutively. And in a week, I went from 1,000 followers to like 10,200 followers.
Oh
And
my god.
right before the end of the year, I was at 10,000.
Wow.
So crazy how things change in such a short time. And in that time frame, I was getting so much attention, and everyone that I could have possibly dreamed of following me started following me. Like Don C, um, Lucy and Clark followed me,
Wow.
Taz Arnold,
Wow.
uh, other bigger pages. Um, and still to this day, I get like big names following me like once a week, twice a week.
Wow.
Um, I'm just so humbled that
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah. Some incredible stories, Sean, and it's really interesting how kind of life just throws things at you, and you take it as it goes. Congratulations on all of that. But
Thank you
I
so much.
I also wanted to talk about, man. People know you as the Thinkings, obviously, but they don't know Sean the person, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of like an enigma in a way. Like people don't know the person behind the image. Um, Down later in the pod, I want to get to your work here at the Selective, but before we get there, to the people who don't know you, born and raised in South Africa, um,
Yep.
how was life growing up in South Africa? How was the streetwear slash luxury scene in where you live, and um, were you ever exposed to that besides your parents growing up?
So when I was younger, the point of fashion was just myself and what I looked like on the day. I didn't really pay attention to what other people were wearing and
Mm,
all that. Only recently, like when in 2018, that's when I started like going to you know Gucci and LV and looking at all that stuff and
yeah.
really starting to like those brands. Um, but honestly, for me, I don't find a lot of inspiration here, fashion wise, or see any people in like insane like
Mm,
pieces or you know um there's a bit of a sneaker community here. So around the corner from me there's a big sneaker reseller, and you know, there's another one in this place called Rosebank
mm,
Shelf Life. They have like 300,000 followers on Instagram or something, couple
mm,
100,000. So, and they do drops like Yeezys, everything. So,
right.
sneaker culture is definitely here. And like when I talk to people in school or people that I know, that are my age and stuff. They're more into sneakers than anything.
Right.
Um, so with fashion, as I said, didn't get a lot of inspiration here, and there's not like streetwear. Um, to say like how you see on Instagram all the people in New York and
Right.
everything posting those like baggy fits now and simple
Right. Right.
fits. There's not really any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you're starting your own community, if you will. But a lot of people don't know that you're from South Africa.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's I mean, unless you talk to you, I mean, you wouldn't know. So, I guess I'd want to ask you I mean, you're still in school, you're still doing your thing. Whenever that's wrapped up, do you plan on staying in South Africa? Do you plan on going to university elsewhere, maybe going to Europe or the States, or do you see South Africa as a place that that you want to stay for a little bit?
So from as long as I can remember, I've never wanted to stay here,
Mm,
and I really plan on going to London or New York or something, but mainly London. But
mm,
other places are open, but London's just the easiest because there's family there and um, that type of thing. And I always really like recently when I started like getting invested into what my future would look like in fashion. I researched all those London fashion schools, especially Central Saint Martin's,
mm,
and that would be so awesome. And with Corona and everything, I really wanted to in 2020. I really wanted to jump in and learn as much as I could and like intern under people locally and everything. Um, but that didn't happen because of lockdown and everything. So it was kind of just a learning period to like grow my page and
mm.
understand more of the communities and everything. So I was researching stuff every day, watching interviews, reading articles, listening to different artists, you know, learning the trends and how things work.
Yeah,
And now, recently, actually, on yesterday was my second lesson of my garment construction course that I started at a school here. It's a pretty good fashion school. It's like one of the best in Johannesburg. So I'm really happy to be doing that and learn how that works. Um,
yeah.
I've obviously designed some things. I haven't posted anything that I've designed. I haven't made anything yet.
Mm.
But hopefully in the near future, especially I want to do like merchandise for my page and everything
Mm.
for the community because I've asked people and people are really invested and they really would want to buy that stuff and rock it.
Kind of like Garden Seeds, how they've done merchandise for
Yeah,
their line,
yeah.
and it's kind of grown as well. And they're another mood board page that have kind of transcended the Instagram space. They built a community as well, so that'd be really interesting for you to tackle. You said you have family in London. Do you fly to the UK a lot? Was that part of your life growing up? Was flying in and out of South Africa?
So the last time I actually went to London was in 2012, but I went a lot when I was like a baby
Mm.
and everything. I actually went to Hong Kong when it was the first plane I went onto. I was 3 months old and I went to Hong Kong because my godmother lived there.
Oh, interesting.
And now she lives in the UK. And then I went in 2012 to her in the UK, and then I went to Paris as well. I didn't really appreciate Paris at the time, but I fell in love with London when I was younger,
Mm.
and I'd love to go there again. Possibly before I finish school and everything, and check it out and explore my options. Um, but yeah, I've got like cousins that moved there recently, actually in Ireland, and then my godmother in London. So
Yeah, hopefully you can get out there soon. Yeah, and then and we can see more of you. Hopefully, going into a fashion school in London or New York or something. I think that'd be right up your alley, dude.
thank
Be
you, man. I really want to.
uh, so the Selective. You run our Instagram, which in my opinion
Yeah.
is one of the most important aspects of our business, right? Like you work closely with T and Greg, obviously to create an image for the brand. I know, for example, T is very meticulous about that, and rightfully so. I think that's a very important part
Yeah.
of
Of
anytime
course.
you're trying to grow a brand is that you want to make sure that everything that you present to the public is a reflection of the stuff that you're investing your money and time into. And I think that kudos to Greg and T for doing that because I think that they understand the importance of that. Now they brought in someone like you to kind of help be the middleman in some ways. I mean, I do look at you as kind of like the middleman between us and the work that we do, and then the audience as well, and trying to build like a little community that we've gone at the Selective. Recently hit 2,500 followers, which is really nice. In the year that we've been doing this, the growth has been great. How did the opportunity come to work at the Selective?
Um, Through T, I didn't know at all about Greg.
Mm,
I don't think Greg is as public on Instagram, especially as T
yeah.
is. So I messaged T when I was really like smaller, around October last year. I messaged T and he like asked for my name and everything because I straight up messaged T. I was like, I've been following you for a while and I've been following your page and I'm really curious. I want to know about like who you are and everything because T doesn't show his face on his Instagram and
Hmm. Hmm.
everything. Um, so he was like, "Hey man, what's your name?" Everything, and um, eventually we kind of just like talked here and there about stuff. I'd be like, "Yo man," like he would post like his Dior's on
Yeah.
his story or something. I'd be like, "These are so crazy, man," and he'd
Yeah.
be like, he was so humble. He'd be like, "Thank you, everything." And there was a period in December last year as well when I was blowing up. He was like, "Wow, man, you're blowing up," and I was like, "Yeah, man," and he followed me, and I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, I was so happy when he followed me. And I was like, "Thank you, everything." And
Hmm.
we just kind of like talked a little bit every day. And he eventually asked me if he wanted to, like, he needed someone to run his Instagram for the Selective.
Mm,
And I was like, "Yeah, man, that'd be an honor to do that. Like, I'd love to
yeah.
because it's great for me and everyone involved." For exposure and getting to know people and everything. And I really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I basically had a call with him. So me and T sat on a WhatsApp call for like 50 minutes, just talked about stuff and talked about each other, getting to know each other better
Yeah.
and everything. And it was just super crazy.
Yeah, that's how it kind of was with me too. I mean, first of all, I think the the takeaway from this damn episode of the podcast is that social media has made the world such a small place that
Yeah,
you and I having this conversation 20, 30 years ago, not possible. Yeah, I wanted to preface that by saying I think it's a really great thing. And it kind of happened with me too. Like he had asked if anybody had ever worked on a podcast, and I said I had. And I had been following him for a while too. Next thing I know, I'm on a call with him, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, how is this even happening?
yeah.
Um, and it kind of just like exploded and turned into something else from there. Um, so when you all talked about the Instagram account, did y'all ever have like brainstorming sessions or because you have a good eye for how Instagram, like how the thinkings looks and how your curation looks. Did you all have conversations about kind of the look and the feel of the Selective, and how was that kind of transformed to today?
Me and T didn't really talk about the overall look. So there was a little bit of a period where we just discussed what T envisioned it to be.
Mm,
So, and I gave him ideas of things we could do and everything because I looked at running like social media for companies and that before as possibly a business opportunity.
right.
So I did a lot of research on that, and then I told him like this is different stuff we can do, and he was like really happy with it. And um, the process now when we do posts is literally like, "Yo, T, I think this would look great on the page." I'll send it to him, and he'll be like, "Yeah, I like this picture. I like this," or "No, I don't like this at all," or
Yeah.
you know, uh, like when we do a podcast episode, for example, we go to the person's Instagram that you interview, and I'll be like, "Okay, this picture is so cool. Um, this post is fire. We'll put this together." You normally do the caption for those type of posts, and
Hmm.
I think up a caption and everything. Initially, T wanted more of a. Um, I don't know if you've seen like when Grail did the freelancer posts on their Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
They stopped that recently. I got an email from them.
Yeah.
So I posted for Grailed for 3 weeks, once a week. And I was like, it was just done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Their freelance stuff
um,
is done right now. Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, it was very short lived, but it was awesome. I got a DM from them, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
This is insane. They follow me on Instagram and everything.
Wow.
But he wanted more of like those, kind of long-ish paragraph captions
Mm,
about like a piece or behind something. And I think if you go back, the first three posts that I did are like that. I think the first post I did was of the Louis Vuitton team sweater
hmm.
that Virgil did.
Yeah.
I think it was part of his 2018 spring summer collection.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
Um, and yeah, then we just did that for a bit, and then I was like to T, why don't we simplify it a bit? And T also has a really good mind for this, and he has really good suggestions and everything. And at the end of the day, we collaborate well with each other.
Yeah, I think we all do as well. With the podcast post going up, I write the captions. I send you and T the ads, and then you all do the work. Like you find out
Yeah.
what pictures work well with the page, like what's gonna be a good reflection of the page, etc. Dude, I have to ask you to kind of like advice that you would give somebody who wants to start growing their brand. Um, Obviously, Instagram especially is so oversaturated. Like everyone's trying. So I mean,
Oh yeah.
I get messages
Yeah.
all the time, and I'm not even like a big account, and people message me like, "Hey, can you follow my mood board? Hey, can you follow my mood board?" It's really
Yeah, man. Oh yeah. That's insane. That's so bad. I get those like 30 of those a day.
right, right. So, any advice to someone who's trying to start their growth to grow their brand? Anything that you would give them?
Um, be unique.
Mm,
That's what my main thing is, because and believe in yourself and be consistent with it, and don't try and be like every other page, or don't try be like everyone else, because so many people are trying to do that and their pages just aren't taking off like at all.
yeah.
So obviously, people see a vision in what I post and who I am, such as Virgil and Takashi and everything, that they actually followed the page and had an interest in it. Um, Even like T, for example, because he knows what he likes and what he doesn't like. And the fact that he liked my page and what I post was just like so awesome to me. So be yourself, believe in yourself, be consistent. I mean, as I said, my page had no growth for the whole first year until the end, and that was just the persistence and hard work I kept putting in. And I knew like one day I'm gonna blow up. I'm gonna blow up. Like just keep going at it. Um, Post unique content from smaller people, like give people free shout outs.
Mm,
It grows your community. And I mean, the amount of people that have taken like absolute sick fit pics or sick pictures of shoes or something, and they'll have like times even 50 followers, you know.
right.
Um, get people to tag you, get people to use your hashtags, grow your community, because it at the end of the day it becomes a really more community based thing than the actual person running the page.
Mm,
Um, Pages such as Hidden,
yeah.
and Hidden's going crazy with that stuff.
Yeah.
He's got such a huge community, everything, and what he's doing is just so great. He's used his audience and fan base so perfectly
Mm,
with his brand. It's very inspirational what he does, and I do get some inspiration from him, of course. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, like also tag people. Not enough people tag people. Like tag people where you get your pictures from. Uh,
I think that's so important that people don't talk about. I've actually like my Instagram has grown a lot, not because of hashtags, but because I tag people.
exactly.
And I
Yeah.
feel like that's like I feel like people are catching on to that, but that's so like undervalued is like tagging fit pick accounts, tagging like and like
Oh yeah.
when I buy clothes from smaller brands, I'll take a fit pick, tag them in the fit pick, and then they repost it to their audience. And like
Yeah.
that's been like a really interesting way that my small account has grown a little bit. It's just by like tagging the people who make my clothes basically in their pictures. And yeah, like you said, I think that's something that not a lot of people do.
Yeah, and it's a mutual benefit,
Mm,
because they're getting exposure, you're getting exposure. It's the best possible situation and thing it can be,
yeah.
you know?
Going back to what you said about hidden and stuff and those kind of communities, sorry to cut you off. Is that kind of like why you don't is that is that kind of like why people don't know you, Sean, as the face of the thinkings and the face of the selective Instagram? Is it because you don't want it to be about you? What's kind of like your mindset behind like not necessarily showcasing yourself as the face of the thinkings?
Okay, I actually really like this question, because no one's ever asked me this. So I'm happy if you DM me and you're like, yo man, where you from? What's your name? I'll happily tell you.
Mm,
But there's people like Hidden who are super private about it, and um, I don't know if Young Water Gun or Undercover Osh and all
yeah.
those people have shown who they are. Those are guys that I know that like follow me or whatever. Hidden doesn't. With that, when I made my page, since I was still getting into everything when I made it, I didn't know there was like all these other pages like here and all these guys blowing up. So I kind of just did my own thing, and there was no one that I really knew to look for help. Um, and when it came to the whole image thing, I just kind of like left it. I was just like, yeah, this is my content, you know. And I'll always tell people, um, what is the page to you, or what is the theme or mood
Mm-hmm.
of the page?
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically anything that I like or find interesting. It's my personal tastes that I'm like, yeah, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like I'll post this for sure. Um, and with the whole image thing, and I had the idea when I started the page. When I really did start the page, I had no idea what I was getting into at
Yeah.
all. So when I started gaining traction, especially recently, I was like, you know what, this is a great. It's such a great platform to make connections and get to know people.
Mm-hmm.
Such as Virgil and everything. Just the fact that was so inspirational for me to continue to grow my page and gain an audience of supporters, and then eventually release stuff to the world and be like, "Hey guys, this is what I've been working on for like the past few months. Like, tell me what you think. Tell me if you want to buy it."
Mm.
You know, um, and that was just like really such a inspirational point for me, as I said.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
interesting too because like you like obviously your content is a reflection of you and like the things that you post,
yeah,
but people don't know you yourself. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
yeah,
Like at the end of the day, you're posting what you like and what your personal tastes, uh, uh, what's indicative of your personal tastes. But at the same
yeah.
time, like people don't know who you are as well. So it's an interesting like dichotomy, if you will. You know, it's just that I guess balancing that is interesting. You know, because people don't necessarily know who you are, but I mean, even you coming on this pod, I'm sure will be a big deal to your audience because they'll finally be able to put a voice to somebody that they just see as the thinkings, you know?
Yeah. Um, I need to work on my personal account.
Mm,
Currently, I am not like the most happy with it, but obviously there's going to be a stage where I gain this following and I become at a certain point where people are going to be like, "Hey," and they'll associate a face with the brand.
mm,
And I don't want to be a guy, that is like no one knows who he is, or
okay.
you know. So further down the line, when I get my fits on points or something, I'll I'll put the Instagram out there. I also got to change the ads. It's quite bad.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't want to be hidden forever.
No, man, no. I definitely want people to know who I am and
Mm,
what I'm passionate about and what I plan to do. But like on this podcast, thank you so much for this. It gets, as you said, fans to associate a voice with the brand and
mm,
get to hear my thoughts. Um, so I definitely do want to do that. Yeah.
for sure. And hopefully, you, whenever you end up going to university, wherever that ends up being, that'll also be a really good business opportunity and a venture opportunity for you in the future. I mean, do you find fashion as your as you want to make that into your career?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Mm.
100%. I'm so passionate about it. It's every day on my phone, what I see everywhere when I wake up in the morning, it's just there all the time.
Yeah, for sure. John, you have a very bright future ahead of you, man. I think you're
Thank you. I
somebody who
really
has like
appreciate that.
who has like figured it out in a lot of ways when a lot of other people haven't, and you've I don't know. I guess a little bit is persistence, a little bit of luck sprinkled in there as well, and just dedication to growing the community that you've grown to the thinkings, and then helping us at the Selective kind of grow our community as well. Wrapping in on pretty good time, man. Anything that you would like to plug? Anything that you would like to shout out?
Stay tuned. Hopefully, in the next year, I'll be able to release some merch.
Mm,
Um, Said that earlier. And follow me. If you are not following me and you don't know who runs the Selective and you like what the Selective is posting, on most of the posts, you can find my at, but is at the dot thinkings. So
yeah,
please also be free to shoot me a DM. Let me know if you listen to the podcast. I'll be so happy if you did, if you listen the whole way through, because it really mean a lot to me and the team at the Selective.
Sean. Dude, we got to do this again sometime.
Oh,
It's
for sure. I'll happily be on.
it's been a treat to have you on. And really excited to for what the future holds to you. I'm super grateful that your parents have kind of uh, fostered this atmosphere around you where you've been able to express yourself the way you want, and that's transcended into your passions at the Selective and also with the thinkings and going forward, dude. It's been a pleasure to have you on the pod. I really enjoyed this conversation. Sean, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you, X. I really appreciate it.
Guys, if you're listening to the show, please don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. If you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, we'll give a shout out in the next episode. If you do that, as always, keep it locked in at The Selective. You can follow us on Instagram at The Selective and our website. All of that good stuff will be linked in the show notes below. I'll also link the thinkings down below, although you probably are already following Sean, but I'll link it there anyways. Thank you all so much for the time and support, and we'll see you next week.